we're going to show you how to line and prepare your baking tin for going into the oven. It sounds fairly simple that you just put some baking paper in and it'll be right to go, but with light cakes in particular, white chocolate mud cakes, vanilla cakes and the like, and really any mud cake because they just have such a long cooking time, there's a few things that you can do to stop the outside cooking before the inside's able to cook. So first we'll line it and then we'll do a few little tricks. Okay, so just normal baking paper. Pop your tin on the paper and just trace around. Now you can just get a pair of scissors and cut that around, but I've found that it's much easier to fold it over again and just follow the lines that you've put there. So then you only have to cut this one area. So cut a little way in of the line for a few reasons. One, the inside of the pan's a bit smaller than the outside, and two, you want to get rid of your pencil line. Okay. And then when you open that out, it should be the right size. The other thing that's really good about folding it like that is that today we're going to put a flour nail in our pan, and we need to put it directly in the centre, so we've got our nice centre mark. The reason that we're putting a flour nail in is to bring some heat up through the centre of the cake to help that centre cook evenly as well as the outside. So I'm just going to spray the pan with some non-stick spray. In this case I'm just using some Bake Easy. You can also just give it a rub with some butter or even a pastry brush and some oil. So what I'm going to do with that base is I'm going to put my flour nail through the centre there, and then it goes in the bottom in contact with the pan. You want the metal in contact with the metal so that it brings the heat up. The other good thing about putting it through the baking paper like that is that when you come to take the flour nail out, it's very easy to remove because it's really just sitting against the baking paper. So that's our base done. Now we're just going to do the sides. So I normally do the sides in two pieces. So I just get some baking paper and just fold it in half. And then I'm just going to cut a little bit of it off because otherwise it'll be too high. But I always try and cut that in a bit of a wiggly line. The reason that I do that is so that I know which side is the really straight side. So I know the edge of the baking paper is the one without the wiggly line. So I'm just going to put that in there, right against the bottom. You want it to be right down. It doesn't need to be on the bottom, but nice and low. And then just a little bit more spray, just where the paper's going to overlap. Put that in. Now if you wanted to, if you're cooking just like a basic chocolate cake or something, you could pop that straight into the oven, put your mix in and pop it into the oven. If you're making a mud cake or a light coloured cake that you want to keep protected on the outside so that it cooks well on the inside, you can make your own baking strips. You can also buy baking strips, but I find that making them is just as easy, unless you're doing a lot of baking. So I'm going to roll out a bit of foil, long enough, and it can be hard to check, long enough to go around your pan. So a little bit longer, and then take that off. So lay out that foil. It's a little bit awkward, you'll need a fair bit of bench space. So lay that out, get a piece of paper towel that matches the length. Fold that paper towel over, and then we want to go to the sink and wet that paper towel. So just damp. Don't wring it all the way out, leave a little bit of water in it, but you pretty much just want it damp. So then we're going to lay that down on our foil and then fold the foil over. once and then fold the base over. I'm now going to wrap that around my tin on the outside, and that is going to provide some insulation for my cake while it's in the oven, and it's going to help stop the outside from cooking before the inside. Now there's one last thing that you can do to get a really nice even top on your cake. It'll help to stop any doming and it'll keep it soft so that you don't have to cut so much off if it's a bit crusty. So it's just a foil lid that I'm going to put over there. So you just want a piece of foil, just a square. I always put the bottom of the tin down just to use as a guide. And then take that off. Then you'd fill it with your cake mix or your cake batter and put the lid on top. And there it is, your cake's ready for the oven. It's all very protected. You can't really see what's going on. So wait until you can really smell the cake cooking before you lift the lid to see how it's going, and just give it a test every now and again. If you find that the cake's in the oven for a really long time, like 2 hours or more, take the baking strip off, re-wet the paper and put it back on for the rest of the cooking time. So I hope those tips help to improve your baking.